Nancy, you still know shorthand? Shorthand, you know shorthand?
Yeah.
That's all right, okay. Kind of like when I was in school, I could never keep my mouth shut.
With the walkway, we should have to not say that our fire. He takes the kids, and then he takes back. Okay. Just keep, so like that's why we put, you know, that. Yes. Let's say hello, you're right.
How old is the kid? Unless they want money.
Yeah, well, that's a different story.
That's dollar sign.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I mean, that's not very good.
Yeah, they could be doing their parents.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea.
All right, it's noon. Is everyone ready? Yep, we're recording. So we'll call the meeting to order and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hope everyone is doing well. I've been coughing, so excuse me, I will do my best. We will move on to the approval of minutes. We need to address the January 22nd minutes as well.
I've reviewed the January 22nd meeting minutes, and I have no problem with them, except with some verbiage on page 7 that I would like to review with the fiscal officer.
Okay.
Who was not able to come to our meeting.
Yeah,
So we can do that and address those at the next meeting.
yeah, we'll do that at the next meeting.
All right. And February 12th meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review?
I have.
I have as well, and I had a question about something on page 3 that I would like to review as well. Oh, I'm sorry. An addition on page 3 and a change on page 5. So I would like to review that with Kristy as well. Okay. So I guess we will table those until our next meeting. All right. Any communications?
The only thing I have is from the Portage County Engineers Office. They would like a certification for the mileage for Deerfield Township, total mileage of the roads in.
What do they have us down for?
I don't see where they have us down. Oh, maybe I just did not.
I think it's 16.3 or something like that.
But
isn't
it raised. It went to, I think it's 18 point something.
Somewhere changed. I don't remember what changed.
It's not on here. Well, probably on this page. 16.267.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve that for the engineer's office, total mode route, or road mileage, 16 point, whatever Nancy said it was there. That's where we get our road money for the taxes and everything through that amount of roads.
I will second it.
Yes. Anyone else?
Roll call vote, Laura
Yes.
and Ed
Yes?
and Tiffany.
Yes. All right, department updates. The road department?
I need, oh, she's not.
All right, Gary's off for medical. Roger is at the cemetery finishing up her funeral, so neither one of them are here, but I have some things that the road department does need I can bring up, and I think Roger may make it here before the meeting's over if he gets done with the funeral. So things that I do know we need for the road department, we have, they're called plow savers we put on our snow plows. It saves the cutting edge. We're on our third year for them. They're about worn out. We need 2 sets. They're about $230, $235 a set. I'd like to purchase 2 sets of plow savers. I'll make that motion. We purchase 2 sets of plow savers. Come in somewhere around $475. Should be just about that area.
Did we talk about that at the last meeting?
I don't know if we approved it or not. We did talk about it, but we didn't have the price, I don't think.
Okay.
So that is my motion that we buy those 2 sets.
Yeah, I thought we had already voted on that, but that's fine, I'll second.
I thought we did too. I'm okay with that.
Laura second.
Yes.
And Tiffany, your vote.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes,
and Tiffany.
Yes.
we need a new set of fenders for the trailer that we haul the excavator around on there. Just totally rusted through. They're starting to fall apart and everything. The guys can paint them and install them. To purchase the new trailer fenders is $390. So again, I think we should purchase those.
I'll
I
second.
think- What's it on? What are they?
The excavator trailer.
Vendors. Yes.
Okay.
I think the other she had the second.
I'm rusty,
Yes.
so it takes a while. And Tiffany, your vote.
I seconded.
Oh, you seconded. Okay. Laura's, your vote. Oh, you said yes. Have patience with me. It's been a while since I've done it. And roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Tiffany.
Yes.
All right, over at the park over there, we have 2 steel culverts. I don't know, they're 30 or 36 inch culverts, about 14, 15 foot long. They've been over there for years. They're pretty valuable, actually. We only ever looked into getting scrap price out of them, which is not good for the township if we get rid of them for scrap price. We have no use for them. We've been looking for years. I'd like to make a motion that we take those 2 pipes up to Hayes' auction service to sell, and the money would go into the road department when they do sell.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Tiffany.
Yes.
All right, as everyone knows, mowing season's quickly coming up. The guys have all our mowing equipment in pretty good shape except for our one small grasshopper we use in the cemeteries. It's got some major electrical issues and some other things that we are not capable of diagnosing and fixing and everything. I would like to make a motion that we take this to a dealer to get that addressed so that we're ready to go when mowing season comes. I don't have any idea what's that going to cost. We've kind of narrowed it down to a printed circuit board we think may be it, but we don't know that for sure. There's places we take these that can diagnose that stuff and get them fixed for us, so I'd like to make that motion, but I do not have a price what that's going to cost.
Do you have a place in mind?
Charm Engine Shop actually is where I'd like to take it. They've done a lot of work for us before. They do a great job.
Did you say this was your zero turn?
Yeah, one of the zero-turn grasshoppers.
Okay.
I'll second.
Yes.
Roll call vote, Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Tiffany.
Yes.
And this is kind of road department, cemetery department together. We had a funeral this morning. We've got pieces of plywood. We buy plywood and we cut it in half, 2 foot by 8 foot, and we keep using it, trying to drive our trucks and equipment over to save tearing up the cemeteries. It doesn't work very well. It breaks and cracks, and we end up replacing it, and it slides around. There are companies that sell, they're called mud nets. They sell them in 4 by 8 sheets, and they're a vinylized plastic rubber deal. A lot of excavators have them and everything. We had a salesman stop in the other day down there. This is something I think maybe we should ask the Cemetery Association to at least help with, or maybe purchase them all. 5 of those 4 by 8 sheet mats would cost us $1,100. We cut those in half so we'd have 2 sides of 40 foot each that we could get off the lanes at the cemeteries up to the graves to help tearing it up and everything. I actually would like to see us buy 6. They got 5 here, but 5 would sure help. So they're $1,100 to buy the 5 of them, about $1,100. So I don't know if we want to approve them and then ask the Cemetery Association to help, or if we want to hold off, ask the Cemetery Association at a meeting to help up front, or what do you guys think? What do you want to do?
We have them here now to use.
No, we do not.
No, we need
The guy gave us a sample down there, but we've borrowed them before, we've rented them before, we really need them.
They would
Well,
last longer.
With the price of plywood, it makes sense if they're gonna last a
Yeah.
lot longer than replacing.
Oh, they do. Plywood will be replaced at least once a year. So,
Plus, it would save money on seed and patching things up too, so.
absolutely, time, a lot of time catching up after we make a mess in the cemetery, so.
Do you have a motion?
I'd like to make, he has 5 here, I'd like to make the motion that we purchase 6 of them. That'll give us 48 foot, two different sides. That's quite a ways off the driveway then. Right now, this morning we were down there, we had a funeral, we had what good plywood we had, we put it down, back the truck over top of it, and then we had to stop and get them and pick them up, and move them behind the truck, back it up, pick them up, and again, it just adds a tremendous amount of time and labor to that funeral. So I'd like to make the motion we purchase 6.
Yep.
Yes.
And Laura, your vote?
Yes. I don't think we need one from the Cemetery
No, I don't
Association.
either.
Roll call vote, Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Tiffany.
Yes.
That's about all I had. They continue patching as things come up. We've got cold patch, they've been out patching and everything. We have a couple culverts we're gonna have to replace. March 1st, Marlboro Supply has 10% off for townships to purchase. Culverts, catch basins, anything like that we may need, they give us 10% off that day. I don't know how much we need yet, we have it inventoried, but last year we spent about $1,000 buying pipe and catch basins, and they don't go to waste. If we don't use them right now, we at least have them there. So I'd like to make a motion, we spend up to $1,000 buying catch basins, culverts, anything we need concerning our roads and ditches from
Second.
Marlboro Supply.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Tiffany.
Yes.
All right, we made a motion previously to purchase an aluminum flatbed for the one truck down there at the garage. That flatbed is just, it's done, we don't have it yet, so that will be in, by the next meeting, it'll be in and installed on the truck down there and everything. So we'll bring it up so people can see what we did. We have an old green Chevy truck. I don't even know what year it is. What is that, Nancy, 1979 or something?
No, it's 97.
97, anyway, it's old. What year, buddy? 94.
That's right.
I'd like to make the motion that when we do get our new truck in operation, that we take that old cemetery truck up to the Edinburgh auction and get what we can out of it and put back into the cemetery fund, or wherever Nancy puts it. We really have no use for that other truck once we get the new one going.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes,
and Tiffany.
Yes.
that's really all I have in the road department then.
Laura, buildings, grounds. Fire department.
For last month, I'll give the actual report for last month, the next meeting after we get all the stats. We're at 41 calls for the year, fire and EMS wise. Per the state Ohio Revised Code, we have to have a fire dependency board approved by the legislative branch. This is something we've done for years. I just need to finish the paperwork and have 2 members of the trustee or the legislation authority, 2 members of the fire department, 1 member of the community to be on board with this. And basically, if something happens to one of the firemen, then this board gets together for reimbursement part of it. It's something that we've done for years. But I just need to know if 2 trustees or trustees, whatever you guys want, 2 people's names to put on. And I'll have 2 firemen and I'll get 1 member for the community.
I've been on it in the past, I wouldn't mind being one of the ones from the trustees. This is something that we should never have to use, it's just we need it available in case something would happen.
I'd be happy to volunteer as well.
And this is if a firefighter gets injured.
Correct.
And hopefully we never meet.
Hope we never have to use it.
I need to ask if do we have any update on the engineer report for the building of the?
You know what, it is available, I'll have it for the next meeting. I have to send an email address for the township, and he will email that there, and we'll have the prints and everything, preliminary prints for the next meeting for that.
June's coming pretty close, and I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm not behind on that
Okay.
part of it. And we're going to need a computer for the laptop to help run the system of the fingerprint timesheet. So we found the most reasonable is a Staples. You could get one for just a little bit under $450. And that'll transfer the information from the time clock, so we can go straight to Kristy with it because of the problem with the issue of the computer system and phones, internet, whatever out there is not able to talk up here for some reason. And they can't figure out why. Everybody
That's
says they don't know
because-
whose problem it is.
Yeah, that's because it's a state computer and they don't allow us to put any outside programs
Programs on
on it.
We have an account with Staples, don't we, Nancy? We can order it
Yeah,
through a Staples account.
We do have money through the SAFER grant to pay for some computer equipment. Have we utilized all of that already?
We're utilizing that, but we can't use it on this because of the, like she said, the computers can't talk. Being that other people would have access to that to do reports and stuff. So it has to be something that's only going to be able to be communicated through the trustees and, the fiscal officers. It's how I was explained it through Derek.
I don't mind that we get it at all. I'm just wondering if we could use some of those funds. It doesn't really discern what we use them for as long as it's used for the fire department is the way I understood it, but I'd have to read it in more detail.
Okay, if you could give Derek on it, because he was saying that one wouldn't work because of the fire reporting, the other reports, it has to be on that as well. That one would be designated just to that system.
Have we used any of the money for computers yet? Because I believe it was $1,000, but I have to double check.
Correct, I believe 1,200. He is actually, I believe he has some ordered,
Okay.
because he was been working with sale of computers.
Well, I would agree to buying that. Let's just see where the money comes from, and we can approve that today. I'm fine with that. Just a thought that maybe we could use some of that money for that purpose.
That's not bad
All
for
right, then I'll make a motion, we purchase that computer somewhere around $450, give or take, and then we'll bring it up next meeting what the exact price was.
And I'll second it.
Yes.
and Tiffany, your vote.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes,
and Tiffany.
Yes.
That's all I have at this moment.
And then we went into session last meeting to talk about some new plans for the fire department. And I'm hoping everyone has had time to review. Any discussion, questions, or concerns before I kind of go over what that's about?
I've reviewed it.
I looked it over. Chief, you had time to look it over?
I've had time to look it over. I would ask, though, that if we're going to approve a quote-unquote PIP, personal improvement plan, which is also a form of discipline, that we discuss it. And I would just say, we ask if we discuss it, we just do it right now while we're here.
Okay, so a plan was presented in executive session at last meeting about making some improvements with the fire department in general. Some of the plans, and these were all positive improvements that we want to make the department better. The first plan of action was to regularly meet with each member to discuss career goals and support growth and keep documentation of these efforts in each employee's file. The second was to join and participate in the Portage County Chiefs Association, networking with neighboring township fire chiefs to build positive communications. Communicate regularly with the fire department liaison and issues, then progress issues as needed to the Board of Trustees. Present a written plan of action to host community events for advancement of community support. Please present this plan to the Board of Trustees within 60 days. The goal of Deerfield Township is to staff the fire station with qualified personnel 24/7. Please present a written plan on how we can improve staffing at the station within 30 days. Review and update MABUS with consideration of using neighboring resources to assure that residents receive assistance from the nearest department with available resources. Use previous MABUS 2022 for guidance. Please provide updated MABUS proposal to the Board of Trustees for approval during March 11th, 2024 meeting. Please present a written plan of point system for the fire department liaison within 60 days for tracking of points for participation. And please complete Firefighter 1 training within 1 year of this PIP. This expense within reason will be paid for by the Deerfield Township.
I have a few questions.
I do have a question too. You said we presented this.
I presented this.
Okay, that's better, because I knew nothing about it prior to the executive session. I hadn't been consulted about it. I don't know. Did you check with our chief to see if he had any ideas or anything, or any of our other officers? I guess I'm just asking where all this came from.
A lot of concerns, myself, the community. This is not punishment, this is improvement. This is building a better department to keep our residents safe and as safe as possible.
But our chief was not included at all in any of this prior to, other than you giving it to him at the executive session?
And giving him 2 weeks to review it and add discussion. This was a proposal.
Excuse me? I didn't hear what you said to Mr. Dean.
Yes.
When you asked, excuse me, your name again?
This is Tiffany.
Yes. What did you ask? Mr. Dean, what did you ask her? Because I can't hear.
Oh, I know. I just asked that was the chief consulted about this or any of the other officers before this PIP plan was developed.
And I said this was a proposal.
I didn't know anything about it.
This was a
And what was your
proposal.
answer?
This was a proposal that I've made and presented to the chief 2 weeks ago for review.
And did both of the other trustees know that
They received it 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? Sir? Oh, okay, just trying to see where I was. Thank you, appreciate you. I will have some more questions. Thanks.
So this wasn't a write-up of the chief, this wasn't any sort of punishment or anything like that? All this was a list of suggestions that you would like to see happen?
It's a performance improvement plan for the department of things that would make the department better.
When you say performance review, is it a write-up?
It's an improvement plan.
We can play with words all we want, is it a write-up?
Is it disciplinary? No, it is a performance improvement plan.
So half the stuff on there that it sounded like was stuff that doesn't the firefighters association take care of the fundraising, the community events and stuff like that? That's not the chief's responsibility, is it?
We have to have community outreach.
Yeah, I think that's the association's job.
Historically, they have done that, but they are not doing that anymore.
Okay, but it's not their job, that's not part of a performance review, correct?
It's an improvement that we need community outreach. Do you disagree that community outreach from the fire
It's not at all. I
department
disagree
would be
I
good?
disagree that we do we're gonna use your word, performance review on the chief for stuff that isn't his responsibility.
It's not a review, it's an improvement
Oh, I'm sorry,
plan.
performance improvement. This is the chief's responsibility, this isn't the fire department's responsibility, that's the association's responsibility, correct?
No, it's not anyone's responsibility. In the past, it was done by, I believe, the association. But since that has not been happening, it's a plan to start to do that. We need that, regardless of who does it. It's not a punishment, it's a action that we need to do.
This sure seems to me like a punishment. Why do we have to go into executive session? That's stuff that should be put out to in public.
Yes.
I don't know, this is just silly.
It doesn't matter.
Who's we?
It was about complaints that I'm addressing with the performance improvement
From who?
plan.
Yeah, from who? Who are the complaints from? Nobody else.
If those were public complaints, and I believe they should be public knowledge, so we have them.
We're getting complaints during the meetings. We're getting
No,
complaints
ma'am.
all of the
No,
time.
ma'am, I asked you a very pointed question. You said they were from those complaints. Do you have those?
Yeah,
And
they're
have you made those knowledgeable to the rest of the township so that we can see what is going on within the
We get complaints
structure
during
of our township?
meetings. Yeah, we get complaints during meetings.
No,
This is a
you're not
complaint.
answering my question. I asked you, do you have those? And have you not provided them to the other trustees? And have you not provided them to us as the individuals that live within the township? That's my question.
Are they in writing?
Some are.
Well, the public needs to see them.
Yeah.
So
You
we're
can make a
asking-
public
we're
request.
asking
The
why,
public needs to see them.
I'm asking you why have we not seen them prior to this?
Can we have one person speak at a time without interruption, please, so we can remain civil?
No.
You're doing fine. When you're done, the next person. You need to just stay civil.
Yeah,
Not
I think I
interrupt.
have been. but thank
And you have been, yes.
Okay. So I'm just asking.
And I
you
get
now.
phone calls.
No. I'm asking you for, where are these comments, these complaints, and if they've been registered properly, and why do we not have them? Why have we not seen them against the fire chief?
This isn't a complaint against the fire chief.
No,
This
no,
is
no,
a
no,
performance
no.
improvement plan.
This sounds
This is a
like-
positive thing to make it better for the
We're all
department.
Yeah, holy crap.
Tiffany, this was absolutely in executive session.
He's
A
speaking.
complaint against the fire chief.
The complaint was mine.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it was somebody else.
He needs to stay.
because of, my main concern is Mavis. And that was the concern I wanted to bring up in executive session, was about Mavis. Mutual aid, which we did discuss at the last meeting, mutual aid.
Mutual aid.
And it's in this performance plan that it's reviewed and changed, because as of right now, the Mavis that we are using does not, I'm trying to answer your question.
Sure, I'm
So
listening.
please let me speak.
Listen, I'm being very patient. Thank you.
So, Mavis is what we use for mutual aid. And right now, mutual aid is being answered by communities that are not the closest to us, who have available resources. So I'm asking that I have a whole list from Ravenna Dispatch as to instances where Mavis caused delayed response for people whose homes were on fire and for medical responses. I went to Ravenna Dispatch to get legal documents to find where there were examples of these. That was my concern and complaint.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? And in a way to fix that, and other concerns that I've had, I made a performance improvement plan for the betterment of the department. And if anyone would like a copy of this after this is gone through, it will be available.
So, ma'am, sir?
Are you done, sir?
So, from what I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, the township is divided through the center, basically. You have different hemispheres, north, south, east, west, hemispheres. And if there was a fire, say down in my section on Yale Road, then Paul Myra would be called. Over here, Lindberg would be called. Over here, Atwater would be called. Over here, Sebring would be called. Am I correct there?
Well, we have a map, but that is not the order that it goes in, yes. As of right now, if there was a fire on Yale Road, Lexington and Sebring and on Berlin would be called.
Is that because they are staffed more than the ones that are closer, or what's the reason?
I would assume.
They are very far from that issue, and we have examples where we've had fire departments that were ready to help and staff, and they weren't
What fire
utilized.
departments are you talking about?
Edinburgh and Atwater specifically.
Do they staff enough people to handle that, or is it faster to call one of these other departments that is staffed?
Historically, I have evidence that they were
Well, we're not
staffed and
asking
able to
about
help.
historically, people change, personnel changes all the time.
Which is why we have a list of numbers to call in order.
So in today's world, is it faster to call one of these other departments that's fully staffed than it is to call one of the other ones, find out they don't have people, and then call
No.
one of the other departments?
Yeah, it is.
It seems like it would be.
It's not.
Who says?
Evidence.
So on Yale Road, if I have a fire at my house, Paul Myra would be the closest. If we call Paul Myra right now, we're a fire down at my house again, right now, and we call Paul Myra, would they have enough staff to come to my house?
Last I heard they were at the hospital.
I'm sorry?
Said last I heard they were at the hospital dropping off a patient.
So
And
they
these
would
are
have
fluid
nobody
things that
to
change all the time, but
I
the
understand.
go-to should be the
Hang on.
closest
So if
department.
we call Lexington or Sebring or one of these other places that staff a lot of people, they would be able to be there faster than us calling Paul Myra, them saying we don't have people, and then calling Sebring or Lexington or whatever.
No,
Come on.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
no.
Let's go real light. Tuesday night.
We have a lot of banter
We have
here.
a motion.
Tuesday
Did I
night.
miss it? Is there
Tiffany,
a-
you
I would
cut
like-
off- You cut me off 2 weeks ago, I'm talking now.
Just to clarify, before you talk, this is a meeting between the trustees, not that the public is allowed to attend.
Yeah, but to write up our chief for this stuff isn't right.
You're putting words in my mouth.
No, you said it was
He's-
you that did this.
You're speaking, sir. Can we have some civility and let one person at a time talk? You're talking.
Tuesday night, Deerfield was called to a phone. They called mutual aid. 15 minutes it took Atwater to get there. Sebring takes 11 minutes. Can you explain
And
that?
they come with a full load of people and supplies.
Every quadrant, and there's a whole
And this is
mavis.
facts. This is
You've
facts.
asked me to explain.
Yeah.
There's a mavis that gives directions of who to call first, second, and third, and it depends on what the call is. Can I finish?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from you.
And this is a trustee meeting, and I value what everyone has to say, but I'm asking that you be civil. In every Mavis instance, there is a protocol depending on what the call is for, if it's for fire, if it's for a biohazard, if it's for an EMS call. And we start with 1, 2, and 3, and then we move on from there. I have a whole list of incidents from preventive dispatch that show that the order that we're using, delayed care, when we've actually had other departments who were staffed and waiting to be called and ready to go. I find that disturbing because we're actually going with different departments when we could be getting people help more fast, more quickly. And when we get people who are closer there first, we can still call those other departments, but we get manpower there immediately from someone who's close by. Because you don't want your family member laying on the floor waiting for help when someone could be there to help more quickly.
I see Ed up there shaking his head. Can you say something about that?
There's many times that we call Palmyra and they can't dispatch more than 1 or 2 people to a fire. The one we had recently up there, they showed up, they were there 4 or 5 minutes sooner than Sebring, but they had 2 people, I think, maybe 3. Sebring showed up with 7 or 9 people and all the equipment and immediately got to start fighting that fire.
I've been told that Sebring's been doing a real good job.
No one's disputing the job that anyone's doing.
Tiffany,
My
may I ask?
question is, with the one on Tuesday, so if our plan is already that Deerfield, if they can't have somebody there, because of staff issues or whatever, get called versus Sebring, if they were 11 minutes away and it took 15 minutes for at-one.
Okay, hold on, that's a medical call, and it's based on, that's medical, correct, it was not a fire? So it's based on where it's at in the circle. So medical is different from Mavis. Mavis is gonna provide your engine tankers and your manpower, whereas medical is gonna provide medical people. So where that call was at, it was closer to Atwater, so it's actually closer than 15 minutes away for them to respond. The poignant call was, it took 15 minutes after a Deerfield person responded for Atwater to respond to their. So it's within a distance of Atwater where they're supposed to be responding, but they didn't respond within the time that's allotted usually to them in that area. So below the circle, you have Sebring, because they're the closest below the circle. This way, you have Atwater. That way, you have Berlin. This way, you have Palmyra and Edinburgh. So that's how that's dispatched based on a medical call. When I call in, for me, because I'm on one staff, I can just say, I need mutual aid. They know where I'm going. Dispatch sends who's the closest in that area. They're the ones bouncing off whether or not someone's available. And then they go with the next one that's closest to it. Now, if I know that I need a medic, I get papers every day from every department, so I see who's staffed and how many people are there. And just to point out, not everyone on these departments is firefighter. At Sebring, everyone's a firefighter. So when you're staffing in Palmyra, you're not getting 2 firefighters every single time. Just FYI.
That last thing that you said there about additional training, is our chief not, is he not properly trained, does he not have the credentials or certification or whatever?
So the job requisition asked for firefighter 1. He's told me he has the equivalent. He can show it to me. I haven't seen it yet.
May I ask what your qualifications and experience are with fire departments in the past?
Research.
Oh.
I got a lot of the information from speaking with the chief of chiefs of the Portage County Fire Chiefs Association for guidance, because I'm not an expert on fire
Have
department.
we consulted our chief?
On how he was hired?
No, about, certain issues and things we have going on.
Yeah, we've
Currently.
spoken about Mavis before.
Are you the self-proclaimed liaison to the fire department?
No, I'm the elected. We voted on it.
Who's we?
The board of trustees.
Oh, so liaison is a real position. Shouldn't the fire department or the cemetery or the road or whatever, I don't know what all the divisions are, shouldn't they all be able to go to any of the trustees instead of they all have to go to one person?
Just like we're in this meeting giving reports, we're a point of contact. It helps, every township does this, and I know you're gonna say, well, we're Deerfield, and that's fine. But it's a useful tool to streamline the point of contact, someone to call, someone to ask questions to. Yeah, he can talk to whomever he'd like.
Well, here's how I say it. You say it's a useful tool, but it's ran pretty darn good for the last 100 and some odd years, and now that we have a liaison, everything's a mess.
I think everything was a mess before we had a
Not
liaison.
like this.
Can someone, can one of you trustees tell me when the last time we had a liaison to the fire chief?
In our township, not to my knowledge ever.
We haven't. This is something new.
That came up within, when everything was turned over from last year till now.
It was brought up at the organizational meeting. First meeting here was an organizational meeting. It was brought up then that Tiffany and Laura wanted liaisons to different places. I didn't agree with it. I think a trustee is a trustee. However, it was voted in that she is the fire department liaison. She's buildings and grounds and cemeteries, I guess. And,
What are you?
again, I'm a trustee. Wherever needs help, I'm going to go, and I voiced my concern about that at the meeting.
And my last piece on that is, can you tell me how long you have served as a trustee now?
I'm in my 3rd year.
Your 3rd year?
Correct.
And sir,
Well over my 20th year.
20th year, and you been
2 months.
2 months. Thank you.
Thank you all.
So to go back to his certification, we hired him without you guys, the trustees, seeing his certification.
We did.
Why would we do this?
We did see them.
Oh, you did see, oh, so he is all certified and everything?
Yeah, she just said she didn't.
You just said you didn't see.
He has an equivalent of what he says of firefighter 1, but I have not seen it.
Was he required to have that one, when he was?
Per the requisition, yes.
I thought you just said he saw it.
I saw a resume.
Do you have it with you, Chief? He has it right here.
I have yet to
Would
see
you like to look
that.
at it? I need a bag, because that's my copy.
Okay.
So is he required to have that, or is he not required to have that?
And continuing education is never a bad thing.
No, that's not the question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's right.
Excuse me, Chief, you can answer for this, I'm sure. Are you required to have that, or you're not required to have that?
By the state statute, I am not required to have it, but I do have it.
Okay. And you were hired, so that means you went through a hire process.
Correct.
So they were be able to evaluate you and go from there, yes?
Correct.
Can I keep this thought?
I need to make a copy.
So it seems to me that the public outreach, the fundraising stuff that you have on here, that is kind of the association's position. And as far as his education that you asked for, that is obviously taken care of. So this right here really is a moot thing. It doesn't need to be voted on. And really, as a human, that should have just been talked about in the first place.
I disagree.
Well, you're allowed to.
You disagree only once, the people right here that don't.
But she's gonna do
It's not like you have a
that.
personal thing.
That's
It's either
exactly
the
right.
fire department or chief. That's what it sounds like. Is that, I mean, and you're supposed to be the fire department liaison, so really you should be on their side 100%.
I am on the side of Deerfield Township Fire Department. I want it to be as good as it possibly can be, which is why I made a plan to try to make it better.
Maybe we should make the plan and put the wording differently instead of sounding like a write-up and.
It never says it's a discipline or write-up.
It should sound like our current chief.
With that being said, she came up with that. I knew nothing about it. I don't know if Laura did or not. She did not communicate with the chief saying, hey, here's what we need to do. What can I do to help you? As your liaison, what can I do to help you? You said you came up with this. Follow the chain of command. You don't follow the damn chain of command. You just do what you want to do.
In what instance?
What is the chain of command? What is the chain of command? Are you the liaison, so that means he has to call you before anybody else? Or what's going to happen to him if he doesn't?
Can he do his
What chain of
job?
command are you talking about?
You shouldn't have to check a box on there.
That's
to be able
The
to do
chain of
the job.
command in the manual, the firefighter manual.
Do you know what that is?
It's in our
Have
manual,
you read the manual?
backwards and forwards.
Yeah, no idea.
Initiating outreach in the community. He comes to the events, does blood pressures, does whatever he can do. We were building a pavilion at the park. He was over there with fire equipment, hosing off the pads and everything, helping set stuff up. I mean, anything he can do, he's there.
Slicing apples?
Yeah, he was here peeling apples and everything as a representative of the fire department. This is something you came up with. I don't think you have the credentials to do it. I didn't know about it to the executive session, and I'm a trustee. But you willingly admit that you came up with this.
I did.
But where'd you get the information? This is just a personal thing. No outreach was made
It
to
is a
him or any other
proposal I
officer.
brought to all of you to review and discuss.
Hey, I'm your liaison, guys. What can I do to help? Here's what we got to get done. What can I do to help? You didn't. You gave a directive. Here's what you're going to do, and if you don't, who knows what's going to happen? That's my opinion.
Was there an ordinance in there?
We have a gentleman with his hand raised. Go ahead, sir.
And since I've heard this, I have two questions to caveat on top of that. And this is for our trustees. There was an investigation, I guess, on some cameras from the fire station being unplugged. If the chief reported that and did what he was supposed to do with it, I would like to know where we are from you three trustees and the status of that. The other one is, and I don't control these obviously, but rumors there was a theft from the fire department. So in whatever realm that was of theft, have you received that report? Obviously, I believe the chief would have sent that if he had issues. And what is going on with that investigation as well? And what can you provide the residents of this township with those two individual questions? And any one of you can speak upon that topic, I appreciate it.
I was not a trustee when any of that happened.
You were a trustee.
I'm sorry, my last piece there was, because he doesn't have a
Wasn't a
liaison.
trustee.
So I would assume that would have been transpired over, and then all three of you would have had the same knowledge as what the chief had given.
I'll answer at least part of that. The
Yes.
deal with the cameras being unplugged at the fire department. We have the video. You didn't see the video, you weren't a trustee. All the trustees saw the video. Nothing happened about that or whatever. I'm gonna take a little bit of blame for that because I should have immediately called the sheriff without consulting the other trustees and filled out a report. To me, I think that's illegal. I think my plan is after this meeting, I'm still gonna call the sheriff and fill out a report. We do have the video. The man that did it was quite proud of it on social media. Yep, I did that. I never said I didn't do it. It's all over social media. I think we need a police report to that effect. Is it illegal? I think it is. Once the sheriff department investigates it, turns it over to the prosecutor, maybe they won't do anything about it, but at least the report's gonna be out there. So that's what I plan to do about that one.
Yes,
I've
sir.
been thinking about that. It hasn't been addressed. The guy was quite proud on social media. Oh yeah, I did that.
I'm not a social media contributor, so I haven't seen any of that, but I appreciate that information.
What's about the theft of the timesheets?
About what?
The theft of those timesheets?
Well, I was gonna bring that up too, but Super Bowl Sunday, one of our employees at the fire department went in the fire station, removed, I don't know, 2-3 months, a year's worth of time sheets and everything. Said they took them home. I don't know where they took them. The person on duty immediately called the chief and said, hey, Lindsay Davis was in here, took a bunch of files from our payroll and everything. What do you want to do about it? Chief immediately called me and I said, I have no idea why at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night she'd come in and remove records from the department. I asked him to immediately send her a text or an email or both, or a phone call, tell her to immediately return them, and we deal with it later. He did do that. They didn't get returned. She flat out told him, I'll bring them back in the morning when I'm done.
What?
I know for a fact he called one of the other trustees and asked for your support. I need your support. I gave her a directive. I need your support to have her do this. Was not backed up. It did not happen. I know that for a fact. I was involved in
So
it.
Tiffany said that it was okay to...
No, that's not what he
So,
said.
here, I'm the one who took the time sheet, since everybody wants to run their mouth. Nobody told anybody that I'm the one who does payroll. I do payroll, I do all of the record keeping for that. I am not required to keep those records at the fire station. I do because it makes my job easier. What I took them for was to figure out everybody's hours, because at the end of the year, there is an hourly limit that people cannot go over. I took the records home, which I've done many times before, because I often do payroll from home, which I don't clock in for. So I'm doing work for the township for free.
Well, that's not what you should be doing. You should be doing
That's personal.
township stuff on township time to get paid. We want you to be paid for what you should be doing.
That's fine.
And we want you to be doing it correctly. However
You don't turn in time? You don't turn in time when you do that? You don't turn in 2 hours for payroll or whatever?
Yeah, recently I have been.
Oh, you just said you do it for free though.
Yeah, I've been doing it for like 5 years. Here recently, I started clocking in for it because everybody wants to make everything an issue. So why am I going to keep donating my time when everybody wants to come and try to bash me and make me look like a bad guy?
Is it legal for that personal information to be taken?
Again, I don't know.
So I think we need a little bit more help.
So may I answer your
Just right
question?
here in the township.
Let me answer both of your
From what I
questions.
have gathered, there's a little bit more than I need to go to the outside. And I've already contacted outside agencies, based off on information I had from previous township hall meetings. Let me ruffle feathers here. But I think we need some investigative pieces from the outside so that we make sure all this gets set up. Because in my personal opinion, I appreciate you, sir, coming forward, saying, hey, this might not have been what I should have done. Okay, this is what we should be doing. Well, we need to do it right, okay? It's about right, not wrong. And we need to get there. And I don't care how we get there. I don't care who it upsets, okay? because that's just the way it should be. So I will seek for guidance at the state level and eventually get back to all of you on what I've gathered on the last 2 meetings that I've been present with, and I'll go from there.
And I'd like to
And
answer both of
hopefully
the
that
questions
will
that you asked.
satisfy the residents of this township, because I don't think we're getting anything accomplished right here. Okay? And it needs to get escalated, because in my opinion, from where I come from, and the word was used, chain of command. I'm a 26-year retired veteran, and I'm all about that. And I'm all about is what the regulation states and where your power is. If you're not in that seat, you don't have that power. And that's just all I have to say for the rest of the day, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
And I would like to answer both of your questions as well. When the complaint came to us about the camera being unplugged, the member who was responsible was immediately suspended, did not come back to work. That information was taken to the prosecuting attorney, who did not feel we had to do any legal action. And that member is no longer a part of the fire department. So that complaint was not ignored, it was addressed, and it was addressed in a meeting.
Did he get fired?
He resigned.
Okay.
The second issue about the papers that was brought to my attention, I asked Lindsay why she took the reports. They're reports that she was involved in making. She was working on them in a capacity for the fire department. I asked her to return them. She returned them first thing in the morning. And I did speak with the prosecuting attorney about that and said that there was nothing illegal about that. It was not, those are public records, public information. There was nothing confidential in that information, and she was compiling it, as she says, for reports, which was her job.
Which I would also like to add that the January through August payroll records have disappeared. I looked them in the file, they're not there. I asked Scott Dean where they were, I've not gotten an answer. So there's, what, 8 months of payroll records that are gone?
I can tell you exactly where they are. Our fiscal officer has them locked up in her office because of another issue concerning payroll that we had to get resolved. Those records are here. They're in the fiscal officer's office locked up. I know exactly where they're
I
at.
give her copies of that. She has the original.
I know exactly.
So that I can do math.
You want to know where they're at? I know exactly where they're at, locked up in the fiscal officers, which the fiscal officer has every right to have those records. We have to come to a
She doesn't
res-
have a right to have the records. I'm saying that she gets the originals and I make copies so that I can go back and do what I was asked to do by the trustees. And now you're acting like I'm a criminal because I figure out everything's out.
So if those papers, timesheet, whatever, I don't know what they were, those timesheets were taken, and she was given an order to bring them back immediately, and from what I understand, Chief Dean and Ed were at the fire station waiting, 15 minutes later, waiting for her to bring them back, and she was told to bring them back, didn't do it. Is that insubordination?
She brought him back first thing in the
She
morning.
was told to bring them back immediately.
But the chief's request was to bring them back immediately, and we're talking about following chain of command. There we go again, chain of command was not followed. The chief asked for them back immediately. Someone else made a phone call to someone else, and now we're not gonna do that.
So immediately is when you want to do it, or whatever, correct?
What's that?
Immediately from a superior piece is whenever you want to do it, or whenever you care to do it, or something like that. The other piece there is, if we've been doing payroll and things of this nature, there should be a retention schedule for records within any department, within the government, period. We should be able to pull those records. Do we have those records?
We do have all the records, yes.
Yeah, so we should have all those time cards, everything's going in good shape.
Yeah, we don't have time cards. They come in and write their time down on the sheet, if I'm correct about this. They started at 11 o'clock and they ended at 7 in the morning. They put their time down. If I understand correctly, that's your job. When that's done, then you look them over and see that that's what they did, and you sign off on them as the payroll person, that, yeah, that's what we did. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, I go off the schedule and I go off their timesheet. And I figure
So
out-
that's an official record once you sign it then?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
So those are official, so whatever this young lady deems as official would mean that's it, correct? So if something is wrong with those records, then that comes to her, or where does that go to?
Yeah,
That's my question.
that's
on
my
that
question
sheet.
too, I guess.
Okay, all right.
I know our fiscal officer has the ultimate responsibility to make sure things are paid correctly and accurately, not overpaid, not underpaid, correct taxes. That
Who was
is,
submitted to her, correct, or him?
yeah, the fiscal officer, I know, ends up reviewing all the records and everything, as far as I know, before they issue a check and everything, but
Yes.
they get their information from the reports she turns in stating that this is factual.
Yeah, okay, very good.
And, you know, I sit on that board for a few years. That's when we had zoning. We had so many complaints come to that board that was not on paper. I had people come back here to a meeting and say, I never said that. I never said that. Who has my name? So that night I says, from now on, this board, everybody that signs a complaint, you can ask Nancy, that fills out a complaint and brings it to this board, you don't put it on your own paper and bring it here and say, these people said it. It's either on paper or it don't come to the board.
Yeah, it sounds like as your position as liaison is not really what it is. It's.
I went to the
It doesn't sound like
prosecutor.
there's any communication here between the two of them. So why don't we open that back up, if it's closed, to all three trustees being able to do what needs to be done? Because if it's coming to you, I'm gonna guess that Laura and Ed don't know anything about it. And therefore, you know, if you don't specifically take care of it, they're not able to.
No, that's inaccurate. I mean,
Oh,
you
you
gave
talked,
me.
you did talk to Scott about all this stuff before you wrote it up?
I brought it to the meeting, so we could all
Okay.
discuss it.
That's my point. Before the meeting, you knew or thought that there was a problem with Scott, but nobody else did. As far as these two go. So.
That's
as
a pretty bold
liaison-
statement.
So as liaison, shouldn't it be your position to talk to these two before you go write something like this up?
Talk to all of them.
To make a goal of improvement for the department. There's
Well,
nothing bad in here. These are all good things for the department.
Different than what you're saying. If you felt that had to go to executive session, it was because there was a problem.
So are you allowed meeting with the other people not in a
No.
meeting? Like to talk about these things?
Three of you can, two of you can.
No, see, it's a forum, they can meet together one.
Three of
It
them
sounds like
can.
Ed and Laura want to
You
keep
can.
blowing away on Ed.
No, really, you're
That would be actually against sunshine law for us to think about that.
You're not allowed to say, hey, she means.
That was every morning.
Yeah, I said, or if Laura goes to Tiffany's house, that's a meeting.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
This is out of, all right, there's a meeting going on, so one person at a time.
I just want to know, if, as liaison, one of the things that's on your list of problems was Scott not having his certification to, I'm going to assume you, I would think to the township, or whatever. You're not allowed to go to Ed and to Laura and say, hey, I don't have Scott's certification, we need to get that. You're not allowed to do that?
That would be administrative. We can ask for records. I'm
That's
just
a yes or
saying,
no question, I just want to know if that's against the sunshine law.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so you can do it. So if there's a problem with public communication or whatever, you're not allowed to go to Ed or Laura and say, hey, I need to see this happen like you used to. Can we do that? Are you allowed to say that to them?
I would say that's, no. That's why we
So
do it in a
you
meeting.
have to have your own ideas of, there can't be any communication of.
We
hey,
can't
gotta
we
fundraise.
cannot deliberate.
Huh?
We cannot deliberate.
That's not a deliberation, that's a, hey, let's, I think the fire department needs to do a fundraiser. You can all talk about that? I mean, it's on your table, that's why I'm asking. Sorry.
I think.
That's township business, they can't talk about township business outside of township meetings.
We do it in a meeting for transparency, so you all can be a part of this.
Go ahead, sir, you have your.
Sorry, I'm just trying to ask Mr. Dean or something about the payroll that you discussed, and there might have been issues with it in the past, is that correct?
I didn't hear the question
That
again.
they have the schedule, in the past, there was maybe a payroll scheduling issue or something?
Yeah, there was. We were checking hours against schedules and pays and stuff like that, is why the records are here.
Yes, sir.
I don't know where that's at this
Can
time.
we, that was my point I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Can we have notice of resolution on that as well?
Yeah, that's why the records are down here, so the fiscal officer could check, comparing all three things to see if everything was correct.
What is this about?
And so of the three questions that I'm talking about, where it has to deal with any type of investigation and anything done wrong to the department or anything, do we know what an official timeline is that I should expect from you as the board of trustees?
A timeline pertaining to, I'm sorry.
When we have answers to the three items, the two items I asked about earlier, plus this third one now, about the time card.
As far as I could answer that, I would say no, we do not have a specific timeline, other than I would like to get them expedited and done as soon as we could.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so, back to the fire department.
No, not yet. I talked to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor said, if there's nothing on writing that comes to this board, he won't override it, he won't take it. So whatever you put on paper, and it's not signed by the person that complained, it's on you.
Okay.
This lady had a question right here.
Something that I would like to clarify, because before I arrived, there was an issue about a call that Atwater took 12 minutes to get to.
15.
Was not 15. I was on the call, I know someone took.
Sir, give her the time.
Atwater was actually at a training, a joint training with, Deerfield, Palmyra, Lindberg, Atwater, Paris, there was a couple other people there at Palmyra Fire Station. So it took Atwater a little bit longer to respond because we were at a training, we were in the middle of a training. It's not like we were sitting at the station doing nothing. Realistically, it was a call to the trailer park, so Edinburgh would have been the closest option, but since they were not dispatched, it was Atwater. I don't know who made that decision. It was
One person at a time, please.
It was a decision that was out of my control, so Atwater was dispatched, and we did respond, and we did take care of the patient. It's not like the patient was neglected and nothing happened. We were there and we did what we were supposed to do. And we responded. It took a little bit longer because we were not at our station, we were at a training.
Steffi?
Excuse me, ma'am, I didn't hear you, sorry.
How often does mutual aid have to get called for either a medical call or a fire call in Deerfield? For the last year?
We're averaging about 15 a month.
What did it used to be?
What was it before last April?
About the same.
I mean, realistically, it's every department in the county that's volunteered.
That's exactly right. Every
I think you're interrupting something
We have-
because she was talking.
Yeah, one person at a time.
Anyways,
Go ahead.
Palmyra, same issue. We run mutual aid for them, Paris runs mutual aid for them, everybody runs mutual aid for them. Berlin, same thing. It happens. So what? We call,
The city of Ravenna, they're calling mutual aid. The city of Kent, they're calling mutual aid.
Runtime?
Bath Township, they're calling mutual aid. Rootstown's running mutual aid to Edinburgh. Rootstown runs mutual aid to Brimfield. Rootstown goes to Randolph. We've been to them all. It's what fire departments do. They go to help each other. We're missing the point.
Who showed up Friday night for a call in Palmyra, and Palmyra didn't send not one aid truck.
Oh, we were there.
Deerfield was there.
Yeah, so it's bitching about it.
Not one truck from Palmyra. You want to use them for mutual aid? Not me. They're not happening at my house, that's all I gotta say.
Well, I think we've had a lot of discussion about this, and I'd like to move forward.
So
I'm
you're
going
going to,
to-
excuse me, ma'am, so you're going to set a timeline where we will have a determination on the 3 individual questions that I pointedly asked about, or not?
I thought we answered your
Instead of
question.
moving forward, I think we need to determine what is an acceptable timeframe from our township trustees to give us the response to those 3 individual questions.
I thought we just did give you a response.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Have we found out that this was an illegal act and we need to act on it or not?
I reviewed it with our legal team who said it was not.
And on what day did you do that? On your own or with all 3 trustees?
On my own.
On your own.
Correct.
You talking to Mr. Bellucci?
No, I spoke with our representative, Brett.
On board.
Who's the
Can you give us a name, please?
Brett Betts.
And what day did you talk to him?
I would have to check my records. I don't have that in front of me. at this
Well, you knew everything else. I think you should know that.
You
That's
want
my
an
point.
exact date? I'm
I
talking about my
100%. I knew when my kids were born. I knew that exact. I knew the last time I was freaking deployed. I knew the last time I freaking came home from that goddamn
I don't
deployment.
recall
I knew everything else that was going on in my life, especially if I'm sitting here
You're being very-
making comments against an individual
Stop.
that is underneath my
Stop
staff.
screaming. Stop.
No, I won't, because you need to know. Get your stuff straight. These people are tired.
Do I recall
Okay.
every date and time of every phone call I've ever made?
No, we didn't ask you for that, we asked you specific things. You talked to an individual, you will know it. Stop playing games.
That was official township business. I mean, if you're talking to an attorney or prosecutor or whatever about our fire chief, yeah, you should know that.
The exact time and date of every
Not the
phone
time, but
call?
what day you did it.
I have to go back and look. I can give you a whole recall if you want of every time I've ever spoken to him.
I have a question. In your proposal, you gave the chief a timeline, or whoever's going to give those proposals a timeline. You did give him 30 days or whatever on each one of those points that you'd like to corrective action. I think that's kind of what he's saying, is he just putting the same accountability when you're giving us information as to when you're asking the chief. So kind of that short, at least some sort of answer within 30 days of a question that we get some sort of response. So I think he's just asking for that same transparency that you would ask the chief. of the fire
And I'm
department.
answering the questions as
Yeah.
transparently as I can.
So he's just looking for a number, it's what's satisfying, you're giving chief 30 days to come up with 5 different proposals on how to improve the department, and he's asking for some questions that he'd like at least some sort of official response, with probably the same amount of time.
And I'll listen to any
Yeah.
reasonable request.
Yeah,
That's
it sounds
perfectly
like
fine.
this proposal, whatever it's called, is kind of moot. It seems like it's a thing that should be handled a little differently.
I disagree.
Well, you're allowed.
So I'm going to make a motion that we accept the performance improvement plan for the fire department as written.
And I've went over all the things, and as a township resident who lives in a wooden house, an old wooden house, these are all good things. I mean, I've sat and I've looked at it since the last 2 years, or the last 2 weeks.
They are good things, but they're not the chief's responsibility all the time.
Again, wouldn't an appropriate plan of action be, if you're the liaison, to contact your chief, your assistant chief, your captains, whoever, and say, hey, here's the problems we're getting, the complaints we're getting, what can I do to help you? No, none of them were consulted, nor was I. I don't know if Laura was or not, but yet there's a list of things that he has to do. I just don't think you have the credentials to do that on your own.
I'm a trustee, and that's my job to try to help with the fire department. An example is how I helped. Just a few days ago, I found out that we weren't staffed at the station. I volunteered to make phone calls to try to get staffing. I'm trying to help, and this is a plan that I'm trying to implement to help.
I don't think there's anything here out of line as a township resident, so I'm going to second it.
Of course you agree. Yeah, really.
I might say something. First off, you can't do that. You can't discuss that in an executive session. So what you do, whether you vote for it or not, it's void. because that, you can't discuss a proposal in that executive session you did. Instead it was for investigating something.
Complaints.
Not complaints, right? But that doesn't cover, that is only against an individual. That is not an individual. You know, you're wasting your time talking about it. It's not going to go anywhere. Just drop it, and I won't have to see you. He's warning me.
When I spoke with Brett Betts, who is our prosecuting attorney, he works for the prosecuting attorney, and it is his job to be counsel for the townships. He told me this was legal.
Brett Betts, I've beaten him in court, and he is not allowed to talk to one trustee. He is representative for the board. He cannot give an opinion to an individual trustee. He may or may not know that. I think he doesn't. But nevertheless, I'm telling you, if you go forward with that, you're gonna lose.
That's $1,000 the township will end up paying for that motion.
There's a different way to do this. It shouldn't be done through a motion like this. And as the liaison, it's kind of your responsibility to have open communication, not just with everybody, but especially with
And how
the
do you know that I haven't discussed this with him in the past?
Because you went into executive session and nobody knew about it.
I've had multiple discussions
Maybe
with
since
Scott
then, and if you resolve that,
about,
then this motion should be denied and.
I'm just trying to put it in writing so we have achievable goals.
We have achievable goals in other ways.
Motion was on the floor and seconded. Where are we at now?
I'm gonna stick with it.
We had a grievance meeting, a meeting where the chief called, said everyone can come and sit and say whatever they want. And he literally opened the floor and there was no repetitive anything, anybody could give their opinions. And not one person from the trustee board came, and that meeting is on alert.
Wait a minute,
Active
is she-
alert, hold on,
is she like-
hold on. That meeting is on alerts for anybody that's on there, and there's trustees that can get those, so they knew that there was going to be an open discussion meeting for anybody to talk about what they wanted
When
to.
was this?
Hold on, I have to look at records, because my note goes far back. But it was Monday, the first Monday of January, correct, Chief?
Yeah.
So everybody in the department, everyone in the department who receives actives, who's a current active member of the department, was allowed to come in and have an open discussion for improvement to the department. And we had an active meeting of what we would like to see. We talked about association information, when the meetings were gonna be, and it was informational, and then we were allowed to say whatever we wanted to in an open forum to get things out on the open so that we could discuss it. And our liaison wasn't there, sorry, I have to say that, she was not available for that day, I guess. But there was, the chief was there, and whoever could make it that day. But it was open and available, and we sat there and talked about improvements, and the chief literally said, what would you like to do to improve? And he literally said, this is what's going on, open book, this is the information that I have for you.
This sounds like personal between you and Scott, or you and him, Scott, because I haven't heard Scott say anything. But this sounds like personal, and that's just not right.
I take everything with our fire department very personally.
Except showing up at the meetings or.
I show up to many meetings. I go to many events. I've been to trainings. I've been to association meetings. I've been to fire department meetings. Do I go to every single meeting? No, I do not. I go to as many as I can.
Weren't you voted in as trustee to take care of that stuff?
Which is what I'm doing.
Tiffany, on my home, when that burned, you were there, you showed up, Ed and Peter came and brought a fire truck. You didn't bring nothing. The team, fire team, I believe one individual that showed up didn't even have to be there. He had showed up because he's a fireman and he cared. Now, my thing is, when that happened, there's nothing that could have been done to stop or prevent what happened with my home as far as being gone. The team called me, I was in Michigan. When you showed up, the rafters were engulfed. So, mutual aid, all this other stuff you're talking about wouldn't have made a difference. But they called, was there anybody in the home? They knew where everybody was. They knew what they needed to watch out for. They took care of everything. And the bottom line is, everyone that showed up there to help left okay. They were, nobody hurt, right? I don't know what else they could do.
I'm so sorry your house burned.
Well, it has nothing to do with that. It's just the act that you're using. You're saying these different things. I think they did a wonderful job. This team showed up, that team showed up. They did what they had to do. They knew what was there and not there. You can't just run into a house. I did know that. They asked where we need to be, what, everything. So I don't know what else they could do. You know what I mean? You brought in a team, they talked to the teams that responded. Everything was done to my best, my knowledge, because I had, like I said, they were calling me. Perfect. The home's gone, I could care less about the home because insurance covers that. I didn't want loss of life. All the people that showed up were left and they went home, great. We had people, my family out. So everything else, you were there, you didn't really do much. Like I said, if Ed come, he brought a truck. But I don't know why we gotta go after the poor guy and say, well, this should have been this or that. Everything was done perfect.
Why the red tape?
Yeah.
So no one is going after anybody.
That's exactly. Why are we making stuff harder to do? We should just be streamlining things, right? I mean.
Valerie has her hands up. She's been patiently waiting with her hand up.
Can we
You
just
go ahead.
clarify, so through the plan, it's just to make improvements so that everybody is protected better.
The problem is, it's not just a plan.
But I understand, so can we go through step by step through this plan before you guys vote on it and see, is there anything that we can change in the plan that doesn't make sense anymore? Like, we clarified that that's a certification that we needed, but still in the plan, from, I don't know how long you read through it, but it seems like everybody's credentials should be on file. I don't think that's a bad thing, that we should have the file of everybody's credentials, because we know whose credentials do things.
It's not a bad thing, Valerie.
This is not a bad thing, this is not a punishment.
Plan and just have a discussion as to like, okay, is this actually in the plan? Or like the community outreach thing? That's not necessarily the fire chiefs, because that needs to be in the plan. We should be doing that. As the fire department, we should be doing that, reaching out to the community. I know other fire departments around do things, but that's not necessarily his job. So can we just scrap that from the plan while you guys are in session right now? And then like go through the step-by-step plan and see, instead of voting on the whole thing as it is, so it makes it look like a rip on him when it's not his job to do that. Then like go through step by step and see, okay, this is a good thing for the community and for the fire department. This one maybe not so much. I mean, it might be a good thing for the community, but it's not his job, so.
Yeah, this was presented.
Lindsay's next. Lindsay's had her hand up. Go ahead, Lindsay.
For the state of Ohio.
I would suggest it.
For the state of Ohio records, right here, active since November 8th, 2023 is, for Scott Dean, is a volunteer firefighter, which is a level 36, and a paramedic. So public records request, would love to see the level 1, 120 fire card. Because straight from the state records, it shows 36.
You weren't here, he has it on. Did you see it? Well, did you see it? He presented it. Did you see it? I'm not lying.
You keep speaking like it's a attack on him. I haven't heard one single attack. I hear a bunch of attacks coming from you. This is all, is this directed specifically at him?
It's directed towards improving the fire.
Towards improving the department, correct?
Yeah.
Is it directed towards the chief specific?
That's the one.
Yes.
Just the one about the firefighter
Correct.
training, improving the
And
firefighter.
I looked online and I don't see a 120 on there either.
I can't find it.
I've never seen this certificate. If you have something different, please let us know.
I'm just saying what he just said.
Well, you keep defending.
Yeah. Well, if he's got what he has and he's giving it to the.
But you're very vocal and you don't know what you're talking about.
We pulled it straight from the state website. I
If you
mean,
want to see it,
I think you should be talking to him as a representative to the trustees. Maybe you missed that point.
But I didn't see it.
Okay.
Would you like to say
So you're calling him a liar.
I'm not going
Right, apparently if that's equivalent, the state website should be updated, because when I look, it's not there.
So perhaps we should put this motion on the side burner for now.
I have a question. So the qualification, like when I was hired, I had to give all my paperwork, background checks, all of that. Literally he has every copy of every certification I have, puts right in his box as soon as I get it. So none of his credentials were checked by anybody before he was elected and hired and approved, but he was hired as whatever he has at the time and not given a timeline the day he was hired to obtain anything further. He was hired as what he was on the day he was hired, correct? And when you hire someone, you're told to give everybody your information. So when I gave the chief everything of mine, I gave him all my cards before I was even approved by this board. So it was there. And I was approved as a 36-hour paramedic to come in here and work for Deerfield. I gave him the information, and I was hired as what I was. I was not given a timeline to achieve anything further from the department at that time. It wasn't probationary that I achieve anything else or further. I mean, I have, and he has done his gap information at the timeline. Unfortunately, it was way back when, before they had the records and the same thing. So it's a different recording system when he obtained his as when I obtained mine. So if you pull me up, I'm an active 240 paramedic now, and his was at a time period where records were different, and that happened. Records burned down, they were paper back then, they're not digital now, so you have to have proof from the state in a different form, and it's not necessarily updated in those records the way it's supposed to be. So it's just a little investigative of whether or not that is approved or not.
Steph, do you have your?
When he was hired, Laura said no, and the two trustees.
That wasn't me.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Tiffany said no, based on certification, and Mr. Dean and Mr. Marquette are the ones who were okay. But in the postings that it needed to be enacted.
Was it a requirement, or was it a suggested requirement?
Sheet,
To have it.
specifically everyone.
Right. And that just, so then what we need to investigate is whether or not the 36-hour and that transition from the 36-hour to the 120 equivalent is valid based on the paperwork that he turned in.
Right.
So that's the only thing that's specific to him. So if this is a department plan, then that's the one thing, like she said, that probably should be moved and put on a separate plan specifically for the chief if that's something you're gonna require now from this date and not from the date of hire.
Sir, do you have a level 120 certification, or is that just a 36-hour that you haven't passed? Is that a level?
It's a level 1B. 1992, I took the level.
What is level 1B?
It's a bridge class from the 36 to the 120.
To the 120. Why are you not registered at the state level online?
We did at that point. That was 1992.
Right.
The records have all changed since then.
But you haven't had any continuing education or anything like that?
I have the qualified 16 hours of required every year.
But why, I guess my question is, why online are you not a level 1 firefighter?
Because the records back in that time did not indicate.
But you should have current records online.
I'm just telling you how they are. When we called the state on it, they said the bridge class is acceptable, and it was acceptable.
Right, but is that 74-hour 1B, is that your bridge? Is that the bridge program?
It's a bridge program. It's from 36 to 120.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is have a copy of that so I can call the state and verify that that is in fact equivalent. Because when I look it up, I can't find it.
Right, that's the problem.
I don't either.
Verify.
Continuing education is not a bad thing, it's a good thing.
We have to have 16 hours a year continuing education for fire.
Yeah.
Steffi?
When other people are grandfathered into their licensure, because back then there wasn't any online, et cetera, they would keep track of it. They had to prove that they were 36 fire, whatever, 120, whatever, and then they provided the paperwork to the state, and then they got their licensure. Why did you not provide the correct paperwork to the state that they're only counting it as a volunteer firefighter?
Okay, well, let's, I don't know that question is why they have not, because I have the paperwork to show it. But what's the difference? I'm gonna ask the question from you, Stephanie. What is the difference between a 120 and a 36? Am I still certified to fight a fire in the state of Ohio? Let me ask that question. Am I still? No, it does not say anywhere.
Chief permissible. It's
Yeah.
per, the
Correct.
department is chief's
He's
permission.
grandfathered into the position, he just made the
It's already in the budget.
Show
It's
me
already
in
in
Ohio
the
Revised Code
SOPs.
that says a 36 is only allowed to fight a fire from outside. Show me.
By the chief, you're gonna
Well, we're not gonna argue this.
What is your job requirement? What is your job requirement? To be in your position, what is the fire department need to be in their position?
State of Ohio says 36.
No, Deerfield Township.
Oh, 120.
Do you have 120?
I have the paper,
Okay.
just read it.
And you were a chief for how long?
10 years prior.
Why do you suddenly leave from Beloit?
Who cares?
I actually retired after 22 years from Beloit because I went to work full-time at the City of Alliance.
And you were a chief at Beloit for what, 7 or 8 years? You were a fire chief.
That's
None of the other candidates had any fire chief experience. This man had over 7 years.
That's not the issue. You can be chief anywhere, as long as it's not required to have 1 point. For this township, you're required to have 1 point. That's all I want to make sure.
And that's what that paper is. The level 1 is a 120.
You have it, great. But I think the state needs to have it online accurate. Until that's a big step. Grandfathered in and all this other stuff, but you need to have a 120 property.
Well, let's go through each of these. Scott, would you be agreeable to discuss in the meeting all of the things on here and see if we can come up with an agreement while we're here? Would that be fair?
Well, we're gonna start from the very, very beginning.
With the performance improvement plan.
Yes.
So the first plan of action was to regularly meet with each member to discuss career goals and support growth. Keep documentation of each of these efforts in each employee's file.
Okay, I'm asking though, this was one whole packet.
I'm asking to go over the performance improvement plan.
Was there something in the beginning of that that you want to tell us?
Yeah, the whole things that I have not done.
Which is
So
completely
what-
obtainable by, stop, I'm talking, please let me finish.
Oh, this is.
That's obtainable through a public records request. If you'd like to have a copy, you can make a request and you can have a copy.
Or I can ask the man who it was against. So was this an act against you personally? And then there was a progressive plan or whatever it is?
That's how I took it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like I said, I made a complaint.
Okay, so this is a personal, so see, you weren't telling anybody this stuff in the beginning, now it's coming out. So
That's exactly what I said. I said I made a
This
complaint.
was a personal complaint, this was a complaint against you personally, and then there was this plan that she's trying to talk about?
Would you like to read it?
I would love to read it.
All right. But can we please, Scott, would you be agreeable to go over these issues? This is what's being asked. We talk about it now. Would you be agreeable to talk about it now? So regularly meeting with each members and to discuss career growth and support, to discuss career goals and support growth. Is that something that we can agree on would be beneficial to the department, to just have regular meetings with every member to discuss their growth and their goals?
Absolutely.
So what does regular mean? Like once a month, once an annual?
Well, let's define that. What would be reasonable, Scott? I would propose twice a year at minimum.
Once a year. Performance plans are once a year for employees. You don't want to be worried about that all the time.
You're getting rid of that because you went to a neighboring township meeting with one of our trustees. You're getting rid of that.
There was no write-up.
That's what this is.
It is not. You're
What's
putting
it-
words in my
voted in,
mouth.
it is.
It's a complaint.
What's it say?
It
It's
says
public
you represented Deerfield Township at a neighboring township meeting last month. This was done without consulting the fire department liaison trustee or without approval of the board of trustees. This is considered a break in our chain of command. I consider this action to be an embarrassment to Deerfield Township. These matters should be resolved between yourself and other township chiefs, then brought up to the chain of command until a resolution can be made. That sounds like a write-up.
Well, it's her complaint.
It's a complaint.
It's her complaint as a resident of Deerfield.
No, it's her complaint as a trustee because they went to executive session.
Yes.
Huh?
And Ed was the one at the meeting. It
I was the
wasn't
one that went
Scott.
to the meeting, and I asked the chief to come to the meeting with me. He did not represent the township on his own. I asked him to come in case there were some questions that I could not answer.
And my complaint is these things should be done between chiefs and not in a public meeting until we discuss that as a board.
Yeah, so that's.
So you're going to tell me I can't go to a public meeting at a neighboring township, a very serious consideration? We were told by members of that department that if they're going to help us in transport, we're taking our patient out of ours and moving to theirs and they're transporting and that's it. That's what I went to find out if that's true or not. I was told that was a Board of Trustees decision. One of the trustees down there knew I was coming to ask that exact question. They welcomed me to come. That's the question I wanted to know.
Why did you go by yourself? Not just you two, why not all three of you?
Because they can't.
We can't.
No, I had no knowledge of what's happening, and he made knowledge because they have no knowledge. That's why Ed did not go to the fireman's meeting, because she is the liaison,
But
and
the
he
two
can't
trustees can't go to that
go.
one?
Nope.
We can attend meetings that we're not deliberating or discussing.
Because they were, Ed was discussing.
We could witness things.
Hang on, this gets.
At the public speak, they let me talk. They wanted to know what I was there for. And I represent myself as a trustee of Deerfield
There's a hand
Township
raised in the
with
back.
questions.
Lindsay?
It's all videoed, it's all I'm reporting.
I understand that, but I didn't know you were going by yourself.
We can only go with one. We cannot go
There's
with
a
a
hand
group.
raised in the back.
That is a sunshine violation.
Lindsay?
So my question is, why did you feel that it was necessary to go to our township trustee meeting and badger not only the trustees, but their current fire chief about their policies? I would love to hear where you heard that it was a trustee decision about what Outlaw was gonna do. Because never once was that said to anybody, let's call a spade a spade. You came to our meeting and tried to throw me under the bus to my full-time employer, which I do not appreciate at all.
Did I mention your name?
What happened? You said a mutual member. Who is the only, I'm the only mutual member that will actually talk.
I don't know
about
that.
this. I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know that.
And there you are. You're gonna go and scout off at the mouth to a neighboring township meeting and not have all your facts. So.
I went to find out what their response was going to be if we needed mutual aid. That was my question. I said 6 or 8 times, whatever your decision is fine, but I have to know as a trustee where my township sits. If we call for help, what are we going to get? What restrictions are we going to have? How are we going to get anyone to respond? Those were my exact questions. That's all I wanted to know, so I could bring it back for the safety of our township. That's all I wanted to know from their trustees.
Why?
Because it's my job.
No mutual aid agreement.
It's my job.
No mutual aid agreement.
That was my job.
Has ever changed. Palmyra, Edinburgh, Deerfield, Atwater, all of them have a mutual aid agreement that has never once changed. So the lies that you're being fed are untrue. If Deerfield calls any of the surrounding townships for help, they will come and help. I don't know where you're getting this, that they won't come and help. They will not self-dispatch. If I'm sitting at Atwater and I hear that Deerfield has a call and I know nobody's there, I'm not going to get an Atwater squad and bring myself down here. I'm going to wait until I call. And guess what? Deerfield doesn't call Portage County departments. That's why they're not coming, because they're not being called. You have to call us if you want us to come and help. Nothing has ever changed, and no agreements have been broken.
Do you understand that?
You're not.
Call.
Hold on. Yeah,
She said-
I want to answer, not that it was bashing their department, or I didn't bash Lindsay, but was at a training for the day, so they didn't have a medic on board. I responded to a call that required medic level care. I had already, by the time I got mutual aid, which per the chief, I am to call Ravenna City Dispatch and ask for mutual aid. Whoever is in that box is who they send. I don't pick anybody. Let's say I know I needed a medic, I know Lindsay's there. I can call Atwater because I know that I need a medic now, and I know that she'll respond. That's never been a problem. The problem that brought that up was when Burley wasn't available because it was on that side of the circle, that road right there. And sorry, I don't live here. And then they called Atwater. Atwater had 3 on board. Medic was out because she was out of training. They told me they could not drive me. All I needed was a driver, medical driver. Get in the front, drive. I already had the patient loaded, IV in, fluids going, need to go to the hospital. She needed to be there. And they told me they could not get in my ambulance and drive to the hospital because their new policy was, if we're going to mutual aid you, we take the call from you. I said, where's your medic? None of them were medics. There was an EMR, I believe an EMT and a trainee, maybe?
Should have been 2 EMTs.
2 EMTs and then your EMR. So there was 3 below level. So for me to give them my call, I would have to disconnect support that patient needed, which was fluids because she was severely dehydrated. And I had to downgrade my patient to a lower level of care. They said, okay, fine, you can get in our squad. So for me, I'm not going to argue who takes. That's never been an issue. We've never had a problem with it. And I said, okay. So what they did is they got their cot out of their squad, brought it to the edge of my cot, a patient who barely walk, barely function, a mom, single mother trying to just get to the hospital as fast as she can, had to get out of my ambulance in winter, fall, while she's sick, get off our cot, get on their cot, get loaded up, get in the back of the squad, and I had to get out of my squad and get in the back of their squad for them to take me. Doing what I know now, I would have said, fine, I'm not taking my patient out of the squad. That's going to cause injury to her by putting her in an environment where she doesn't need to be, and I would have called for another driver, because you're just delaying care. But I was specifically told by the older gentleman on the scene, I didn't catch his name, that it is our policy at this point that if we respond to your mutual aid, we're taking your call. And I, of course, denied downgrading my patient because it was the best thing for my patient. I did immediately tell the chief exactly what happened, and I said, I do not agree with this. We should, and I apologized profusely to the Deerfield resident who was down in the department. I said, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. It won't happen again. I'm going to talk to my chief. She was very nice, very sweet lady, and she was compliant to it. And we got the patient there, and she improved. But it was the whole fact that they told me that they were going to take the calls from us if they responded. I turned the information in, no skin off my back, but it was a patient care issue, and I said it was not good for the patient. And that was the policy. I was told by an Atwater employee that that was their new protocol. So we wanted to make sure that that was not going to happen. Again, my
everything, I like Bobby, I have no problem with Bobby, she's I've talked to her on many occasions, we get along, we have a lot of safety points. Everything that she said is true. I happened to be not at work that day, which is a very rare occurrence. So the prior chief and assistant chief of Atwater, after several incidents occurred, we sat down and decided that if we come to Atwater for mutual aid between the hours of 8 and 4, we are going to show up with at least one paramedic, being me, and yes, to Deerfield. Yes, Atwater, if we, anywhere, but specifically Deerfield, if we come to Deerfield, we will have a medic and a basic between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. During that time, we are going to transport the patient because we are not breaking up our crew, because there have been several times where Atwater has come over here and I have ran with Deerfield squad and transported patients, and then Atwater drops another call or two calls, and Deerfield drops another call, and Atwater's residents are left unprotected without a paramedic because I'm over here running all of Deerfield's calls. Atwater is paying their paramedic to come here and run Deerfield calls, and it's not fair. So what the chief and assistant chief decided was that if we come between the hours of 8 and 4, we're just going to take the patient and keep our crew together, which is the same exact thing that any other department with 2 people would do. If you call after 4 p.m. or before 8 a.m., you're probably going to get a driver, and we won't have to worry about splitting up the crew. What happened with Bobby was a mistake on Atwater's part because the 2 people that were staffing that day could have used a little bit better judgment, which I have already spoken with Scott Dean about on multiple occasions to squash the issue that he has with Atwater for whatever reason. We have never refused to transport a patient. We have never said that we will not come and help. They set boundaries and guidelines as to what they're going to do if Atwater does happen to be called.
And we ran a call together. We actually ran a call. Chuck just walked in. Chuck was on scene. I was on scene. She was on scene. We had 3 medics. They dropped you left your EMR with us. I believe she went to the hospital, was in the back, and then we went to the hospital. So it's not like, we're not taking 2 medics out of the area. And again, she didn't take the call at that time. So when it was an issue all of a sudden, it was kind of a surprise to me.
It was, and it was a one-time error. And Atwater very verbally expressed that it was an error on Atwater's part, and we assured that here, these are the guidelines that we're going to follow between 8 and 4. This is what's going to happen, so this situation won't happen again. And for you to come into Atwater Township and try to bully the chief and the trustees and make a big scene like Atwater is refusing to transport people, that is just so
I was bullying no one. I was asking questions. It's exactly what you said. I kept hearing that it wasn't that way. I went to find out what it was with the Board of Trustees. One of them knew I was coming, welcomed me to come and ask that question. He said it needed answered at the public meeting. I came to the public meeting and I asked. And that's all I did. I didn't try to badger anybody, bully. I asked the questions, and that's it. You can spin it whatever you want. It's all on the video. Get the video and watch the questions I asked.
I have. My question is, why is that not a meeting between the chiefs? Why do you have to go and insert yourself into that meeting? Why was that not a meeting between the fire chiefs?
Because I wanted to know where our citizens stood in case there's an emergency, plain and simple.
So, that is a discussion. If one fire chief has a problem with another department, he needs to sit down with that fire chief. And I will tell you, I personally given both Derek and Scott the new chief's phone number, and guess what? No meeting has ever happened. He's never called them to set up a meeting. I wonder why that is.
We can't, it's the follow chain of command, it has to be.
Okay, you've had your hand
And
raised
then we
for the
really need
longest
to move
time.
on.
I was just gonna ask why you didn't just call it out, our fire chief and ask him.
I spoke with Chief Nellis about that incident, and he said it was, they had 2 newer EMRs, I believe they were, if that's correct, and that they really didn't handle the situation as well as they could have, and that he had spoken to everyone about resolving it. So I had spoken to Chief Nellis about it.
I just meant, I didn't know why, Mr. Dean didn't just call the fire chief and ask him.
And I did, I had a discussion with Tom.
No, I meant,
Me? Why can't I go to a public meeting and ask that question?
I suppose you can, but you could have just called him.
I don't want to go to Outline, I go to Palmyra, I go to Edinburgh, I go to Kent, I go to a lot of the different trustee meetings, at least once a year, just to see. That's the way to get an answer when you're in front of the board that was accused of making that decision. I asked the board, did you make that decision? They said, absolutely not. That's what I went there to find out, where the decision came from. And until that time, I didn't know where that decision came from. I was asking that. Plain and simple.
Well, let's get back on track.
Hang on, you cannot make sense right here. This right here,
These right here, because I've seen your posts sometimes and you don't check your background before you throw things.
Oh, I'm reading it.
Oh, no, I mean, online.
That's okay.
No, it isn't okay. You're just kind of like a gossip. You just like to put things out there.
It's okay.
And so.
It's okay.
Check yourself.
It's okay.
No, I know it's
So
okay.
this right here, after reading this, and with your permission, I'm gonna post this online. This is absolutely a personal write-up, contrary to what you told us before. This motion, there you go, sir. This motion that you guys are voting on, it is absolutely a write-up. She's apparently saying something about what she suggested be done to rectify this write-up, but this is absolutely a write-up against Scott Dean.
Is there any discipline?
I haven't seen the back 2 pages.
There's no discipline.
It's not a write-up. You
There's
can't
no
call something
discipline.
a write-up, it's not a write-up.
So
Just 'cause you
it's,
say it doesn't make
this
it
isn't a motion. This isn't a motion at all. This is a conversation between the trustees and the fire chief.
Well, I'm trying to have that conversation with
No, you're
him
trying
right
to do a
now.
motion.
I just said, can we have a discussion about this, and he said yes.
That'd be great.
Well,
And we've been through number 1.
We've been through number 1, and that, we agreed once a year was a reasonable time. Scott.
Now we're on to 2.
Who doesn't?
Number 2, join and participate in the Portage County Chiefs Association, networking with neighboring township fire chiefs to build positive communications, which would help in incidents like we're just talking about.
Is there a time frame?
So, is there a specific thing, like, okay, they have,
To join the association and participate a reasonable amount.
Can you put in there that or send a representative in his stead?
Yeah.
Because you can send your assistant chief to do those things as well, or someone that's a representative.
I actually think that's a great idea, because I know it's hard for him to make all those meetings.
Yeah, I mean,
So
yeah,
he
it's hard
or
for anyone to
chief,
make
assistant
every
chief
meeting
day.
that day, yeah.
I disagree with this one.
Do you not want to be part of the Portage County Fire Chiefs Association?
No, it's not that. Their meetings are at 11 o'clock on the day shift.
You don't have a representative that can go in your stead?
Not every day. Not days that they always have.
Well, she never
I go to the
said-
southeast.
I never said 100%.
I go to the southeast,
She never said every time, she just.
but I go to the southeast meetings, the southeast fire district meetings. I go to them. Every one that they've had since I've been to them.
I think that the Portage County Chiefs Association would be a great resource for Deerfield to participate in one way or another.
I'm not disagreeing.
if you can make it, and it's reasonable
Right.
for you to make some of the meetings, like, that's a reasonable compromise, that, like, we should try this thing.
And every chief's a member.
In the past, we've always, the chiefs have always been there, or a representative of that chief.
I think a representative is completely reasonable.
Right.
And you don't have to be at every single meeting.
Just to participate a reasonable amount, show an effort to network and,
Define reason. How many meetings are there a year?
I think they're monthly, is that correct?
It used to be 4. There was 4 meetings, they added 4 to it.
50%.
50%?
Could that be reasonable for you or Chief Day to?
I can't guarantee that.
Is there someone else that
So
can
the
go?
representative,
If you can't
that's the
go.
question, is if you're sending a representative, it should be at whose discretion, because you're talking about chain of command, so who's gonna designate that? The chief can send anybody that can go to that meeting to represent him?
Who would you feel comfortable sending in your
I mean,
study?
he can do that
If
at
someone
any
can't
time.
go during the day.
Okay.
The officer.
As long as, yeah, as long as he can send anybody that he approves of, and it's his approval of that representative.
Would you be agreeable to that?
If available, we're not gonna be disciplined for not doing it.
This isn't talking about discipline.
Right.
This is a plan to help make the department better.
So he'll reach out to every officer that's available, and if they're not available, then that's a permissible thing, that it's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as we're not guaranteed that we have to do that.
And the third, communicate regularly with the fire department liaison on issues and progress issues as needed to the Board of Trustees. Recently, we talked about having quarterly work meetings. And I would like to be more involved. Can we come up with a plan where maybe we meet at least quarterly with myself and you and possibly Chief Day or Assistant Chief Day as well? So we can work on these goals?
Can I get an answer here? What is the actual definition of liaison?
Like, what's your job title? So like
What's the definition of a liaison?
Liaison is the person you appoint to,
speak
take your place.
to speak on your behalf of what you want to say
Okay,
and represent you.
let's see what Webster's dictionary says.
Well, Google.
Or Google.
Liaison definition. Liaison is a noun that can mean multiple different things. The most common definition of liaison is a person who establishes communication between multiple groups. For example, two companies working together might hire a liaison to help facilitate cooperation between their groups.
A point of contact.
I guess technically a liaison would be the person between the trustees and the fire department.
Yeah.
Since you're a trustee, you wouldn't really be a liaison.
No, I would be.
No, it's between. No, it wouldn't.
Be the third party.
And it's just a representative for both sides.
It's
still
a point of
both sides.
contact so I could help, like in the past, let me give you an example. In the past, I helped work with Chief Dean and the past Assistant Chief in making policies for the department that helped us utilize safer grant money.
So you're not
Liaison.
a trustee?
It's a point of contact.
If you're
Because
not-
all three of us can't do that unless we're in a public meeting. Right.
That's not liaison, that's your job as a trustee.
Liaison goes between one person and another. You need somebody between you and
It's a point of contact. I mean, does that satisfy your definition?
Then how is that person part of planning and making decisions if they're just a communication between two people? Is what I think the point is being said. A liaison is just to represent my idea and your idea. Like, if Lindsay and I are not here and we had a problem on our department, the chief would be the liaison between the two of us. He wouldn't be representing or making a comment. It's like, you get a divorce, you have a person in between the two of you that mitigates the problem, but
And it's
they're
a
not
point
the
of
ones that are
contact.
making. Yeah, but I think
For
it's
the public to
problem.
come to, like, so a point of contact for somebody to speak about the fire department.
Right,
So
and
we
then you
can
would
funnel
bring it
those
to
all into
the
one
board,
person.
but you can't vote on something that you're bringing to the board because you're bringing something you already agree on.
No, it would be a proposal.
But you've helped mitigate and you've worked on it before. because
And I
you
would
made
probably
plans.
be moving to act on it, but I would have to get board
So what it's
approval.
saying is you're helping create the plan, and you're voting for the plan, you vote positive for the plan, you already told me with a positive vote for the plan. You're not really representing an impartial idea to the meeting itself. So it's like, if I were to come to you and propose a plan, me and the chief talk about something and I propose it to you, I'm obviously have positive to it, you're gonna represent the board, but as a liaison, you're already positive for the idea and already voting for it. So you're not really impartial for the board itself.
I am one of 3 votes, that's why we have
Yeah,
3
but
people.
the
I
liaison
voted on
position
things
is
and been
when they're
shot down
talking
many times, so it doesn't mean just because I agree with something that it gets moved
Once
into.
upon a time, you three divide like certain things up that you would keep an eye on things and then come back, like you would take care of the roads and stuff like that, and she was supposed to.
I did
keep
the
an
ball
eye on
fields and the
fire
ball
department
teams.
and someone on the other. And I think that's what she was doing. Now, before she makes decisions, of course, like that, she makes suggestions, she brings it back to the others, and that's how you get things done.
Except that's not what happened.
Well, and the point that they're talking about right now is an annual meeting to make a plan where she's meeting with the chiefs to come up with a plan.
I guess my problem with that is channeling it to one person. That one person knows what's going on, knows what the complaints are, and then they come up with a report like this. I had absolutely nothing, no knowledge of this. That's my problem, channeling it to one person. That one person can't take this on himself. We are a board. That is a big problem, channeling concerns from the public to one person.
Well, if she made a complaint to the township, shouldn't she turn it into the office like everyone's supposed to? So
It
the
will be
office
made
can
into
have-
public record, yes.
Except that when he went into executive session, it completely changed everything.
Yeah.
No.
Did you turn it into the office, or was it turned in the first time at the executive meeting? The complaint, so the complaint, the 2-page complaint, did you turn it into the office and sign it and give it to the?
Well, we're
secretary?
discussing all of this today, and that will be all turned in today, yes.
It was an executive meeting already, right?
I discussed the complaint in executive session, correct?
So I think what you're saying is that you want to withdraw the executive decision motion. And
I never said anything like that.
Because he's saying that if you vote on it based on what you propose.
I haven't said anything to that effect.
It sounds like it should be a new proposal for a new thing.
2 weeks ago, what did you give them? Did you give them a plan of action?
2 weeks ago, I took the complaint and handed it to everyone so they could read it.
So the complaint's been out there for 2 weeks now.
Yes. Yes. And I brought a proposal to my complaint because I think if you bring in a complaint, you should have a proposed solution. All right,
Okay. Generous to bring a complaint to executive session, to not air it out from everyone.
Correct, because it's a personnel issue.
Generosity doesn't matter. The fact is.
And because I actually wanted to do it in open board, but I was advised by council because it's a personnel issue, I should do it in.
Is that section of the, what was his name?
Brett Benz.
Do you know what day you talked to him about that?
No, I don't have dates in front of me.
Can we get that?
I can, sure.
I just want to talk to him and verify.
He may talk to you, you can try.
Okay, we're on number 3.
Number 3, so communicate regularly with the fire department liaison on issues and progress issues as needed to the board of trustees.
And we suggested a quarterly work meeting, so we can stay on track.
You're redefining his job description.
Yeah, you're not a liaison.
So Scott, do you have any discussion on that?
You guys don't want communication, I don't understand. This
I would think you talk anyway, yeah.
It's just communication so we can work towards goals, stay on
Why do you have
track.
to have that in writing?
And plus, I've worked really closely on the SAFER grant. I want to make sure that we're staying on top of that and using all the money that we have allowed to us. And that's something that Assistant Chief Day brought up a few meetings ago about doing some work meetings, so I'd like to do that. Would you be agreeable to that?
Work meetings, yeah, we need work meetings, because we
Okay.
need communication.
Perfect. So present a written plan of action to host community events for advancement of the community support. Present a plan to the Board of Trustees in 60 days for some events. And I'm willing to help with those.
Isn't that the association? Don't they do that?
So it's different in every department.
But we're putting it on his shoulders?
It's in their bylaws.
No, I'm telling you, I'm going to help.
It's in their bylaws.
I mean, the chief can designate, right, you're designating that to the
We want
association.
community, and we did have a community outreach with the Apple Butter Festival. That was great. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, I've come to what we have, but as in pancake breakfast and fundraisers, that's the association's job, that's not mine. That's in their bylaws.
And those are ideas. We don't
Yeah,
have
I'm
to do
just
things
saying
like they've been
that
done
is
before.
their-
But community outreach is really important.
I think the chief has other
But can he,
responsibilities.
yeah, and can he just say, okay, this is the association? Yeah. But why does this have to be in this plan? We could say like, the association already knows that they need to do this stuff.
So if you reach out to the association, he'll have to write up a plan, and he'll propose what he can get from the association within 60 days.
Sure, that'd be fine.
So that was work with the association.
Can we work with the association on that, Scott?
Yeah, because they're in charge of the money.
But is that rough campaign for like, okay, they have a plan, the association has a plan, and they want to do this, then do they have to bring it to him, and he has to bring it to the board within 60 days of implementing it?
Just a plan. Just, it doesn't have to be done in 60 days, just a plan for community outreach, because it's important.
It says 60 days.
60 days, or a plan, just
Just
have
an
a
update.
plan in 60 days.
Why are you putting all that on the chief?
What?
Why are you putting that on the chief?
Well, he's gonna designate the association to do it.
Because he's in charge of the fire department.
All right, we're on 5.
The goal of the Deerfield Township is to staff the fire station with qualified personnel 24/7. Please present a written plan of how you will improve staffing at the station within 30 days, because improvement of staffing is always the most important thing, that we have that station staffed. So just a plan for some improvements, some ways to get people staffed.
Do we have funding to staff that full year round? With the 2 people that we need?
We have staffing for 1 person. That's what our levy
Oh, I
is.
thought we had 2 people go out on calls.
I'd love a
That's why we're
shower.
calling mutual
That'd
aid,
be great.
because we don't have 2 people.
I'd love a decon shower, that would be great.
Yeah, it would be great. I wish, that's not pertaining to this.
Couple questions on that.
Go ahead, Denise, your hands up first.
Okay, I need to go back to the previous point. When's the last time the association did a community event or fundraiser?
They were having a hard time. Their
I mean,
president, they were
is
going
the
through a
association the same or different than, say, the Sirenettes were?
So they just re-elected and nominated, I haven't been at the meetings, so someone that's been at the meetings, they just got a new president, so there was a difference with everything that was going on. The old president, I guess, I can't speak on it, I'm impartial, stepped down. So I'm not on the association, I haven't been voted on yet, so.
And that's a good point, Denise, because the Sirenettes were involved in a lot of that. We know a lot
I
about
can't
the
speak to who's on
Sirenettes.
the association because
So the
I have not been
Sirenettes
voted on.
were the association, or is that 2
Two
different?
different
entities?
things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Sirenettes were very involved in those sorts of things.
And
they
I,
have
it was my
disbanded.
understanding they've been dissolved twice now.
Well, I know of once.
So,
To my
Yeah,
knowledge, we
twice,
have
I said
president the whole
twice.
time, an interim
so
president.
the association is something different, and that's who is in charge of
Yes.
community programs and fundraising and such?
I believe the fire department, we can't make money, so we had to form the association.
Okay.
To be able to raise money for the fire department, because as a township entity, you can't make a profit.
Okay, that makes sense
They
to
created a
me.
nonprofit.
So again, my question is, how long has it been, or is the association something new and they haven't had a chance to do that?
Yeah, how do you get on the association?
So.
That's a good question for another time, though.
I think they had an event here like last spring. There was a
Easter breakfast with the
Yeah. You asked what the association has done for the community. In the past, we put on Easter parties and stuff.
No, I know that part.
And we, if I remember right, the last Jaws of Life was.
Correct.
by the association.
Yes, that was a big one.
These are the things that have been done by the association.
No, my question was, when was the last time they did something?
Were we at that fair and Jason represented, and they represented
Like
us?
I say, how often should
At the
we-
Apple Butter Festival, that's the last time I know. That was
No,
nice.
it was just a question, because the last thing I
The fire
remember
department
was
was there.
the Easter event.
And then Christmas, but that's, I mean, department was represented at Christmas, so we had lights.
Yeah, that was
We
just
helped
my.
out.
I mean, I have been out for several months.
As far as I know, it would have been the Apple Butter Festival.
I know that a handful of us were also there putting up Christmas lights. Center brought the fire truck, brought the ambulance, had some other members coming and helping with that. So for
Okay.
me, that's the
Well,
last time that
I thought that was a volunteer thing, but.
It was
if
a
that the
volunteer, it wasn't, it was a
The
volunteer.
association-
We represent
The
it.
association is a volunteer thing.
Yeah. Denise.
The fire department started out as an association. That was it.
Okay, never mind.
You asked the question.
I did, and it's being turned in a different direction.
Well, that's okay.
Denise, I'm being serious. It
It's,
probably last Easter.
Okay,
The association.
I just wondered if I missed anything.
The association made the fire departments. That's how we got there.
There's opportunities to be doing more things.
Right.
That's what, yeah, years ago.
Yes.
I think we're on 5.
All right, number 5, the staffing, within 30 days. And then to update Mavis, which we've talked about quite a bit, with consideration of using neighboring resources to assure that residents receive assistance from the nearest department with available resources.
Okay, you had your hands up. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So essentially, how do we just squash all the BS now? The Scott Simmons shit, squash it. It's done with, it's over with. He didn't get a job. He was also part of the reasoning association and has some of the problems they're having now. Who cares? Move on. Let's make it better, right?
No one's brought up Scott Simmons this whole meeting.
Because he's in down. Simmer down. Just simmer down and let me finish. Got it?
There's no need to be rude.
You've been rude the entire time.
Was he the president at one point?
He was.
So we brought him up because he's the president of the association at one point, so he's been brought up.
Squash it. Who cares? He's not on the department. That's perfect. We've got a new association. Let's see what we can do with them, right? Yes, no, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the association for the help. Let's not put it all on him. He's not 50 things to do in the actor, just like you do, right? You guys go work every day, right?
Yeah, this isn't something that we need to vote on.
It's pointless. This whole thing is pointless.
This Davis
Sure,
thing
you
is
have
not
a
pointless. This Davis thing is not pointless.
This
Am
might.
I talking or are you?
I don't know what you're saying.
Am I talking or are you?
I don't know what you're saying.
Well, if you shut your mouth and listen, then you know.
All right, we're on number 6.
So, can we take that one out with the whole association thing? Because really, if we have the association do it, like, obviously that's what the association was for, is to have community outreach and to be able to respond to the fire department and do these things that legally the fire department can't do. So can we just not put that on him and say, like, this needs done?
Well, and the chief is a part of that association as well, I believe. Is that accurate? That you're a part of the
As of
association?
last meeting, I was appointed on. Other than that, on this point, I have not been.
So you are now able to
He is now, they did not let him
participate
be on the association board prior to the last meeting.
because of length of service, or I don't know the rules of the association.
It sounds like the biggest point is the Mavis, and that's the biggest point that we're concerned about, so maybe that just needs to be pulled.
Well, that's what we're trying to talk about now, is the
So
Mavis.
outside committee should be appointed to decide that, because you want some impartial information based on data that no one has a skin in the game. So you hire an outside agency, or you elect a committee of people to sit down and discuss the pros and cons at another point in time. Then you bring it to the liaison, and the liaison brings it to the board, and then you vote on it.
I'm
So
I'm in no
that's-
way,
yeah,
shape, or
yeah.
form of creating the Mavis. But I've
So,
seen some
but it needs to
issues.
be discussed with qualified people that have the information, or community members, or whoever they want to avoid, whatever requirements you want that to be, chiefs or knowledgeable people. and
I
then
agree
bring a
with you,
proposal.
and when we
Database.
spoke about the Mavis, I'm asking it to be reconsidered,
Yeah.
because there's been some points where it's not worked in our benefit.
Right.
And Chief Dean asked about having a meeting with his officers to discuss it, and I said absolutely. So I'm not dictating how it's done, I'm saying we need to reconsider with some room for improvement of some recent evidence-based calls where things didn't go as well as they could have.
Right, so creating.
It's for improvement.
Yeah.
6.
But
So
it sounds
that's
like a
number
completely
6.
different issue.
And
So on number 6, I'm creating a board. There's going to be 2 township residents, 2 fire department members, and myself. We're going to sit on that board. We're going to go over this Mavis because the officers currently made it what it is now. We're going to sit down with them group of people. We're going to work this out. Then we will present it to. This has already been in progress, how we're been working on it. So
Scott, let's just go back to the one I have right now, and that'll fix it, because I have it from years ago. I just brought it up on my computer the other day, and that's what we're using, and that's what you said to go back to, so let's just go back to that for now, until it's gonna be approved.
Well, I didn't say to go back to it, I said to use it for consideration.
we want to waive it from a current reason.
Well, right now, you're just talking about voting on the fact that this needs to be talked about, changed.
Okay, let me explain to everybody what the Mavis is right now. Well, I don't call it Mavis because a Mavis is actually a statewide system. This is a box law. Currently, right now, if we called for a structure fire, Berlin, Deerfield, Sebring, and Lexington will get dispatched. Lexington is coming to cover our station, so we're not unprepared. The other ones are going to the scene. Dispatch knows if we get a second call on that call, or somebody gets on the scene and says it's a confirmed working structure fire, then we notify the other departments for the tankers by however many. But that's the reason why the 4 are getting dispatched all together. That house on Yale Road was perfectly fine. Berlin was first there. Actually, Zach ran the scene until anybody got there. They knew everything was going on. They immediately called for additional resources that we needed, and it was handled.
Was Palmyra staff during that call?
Yes.
Yes.
Is Palmyra closer to Berlin?
Yes.
But they received multiple calls, they should have been dispatched, so that's kind of a dispatch issue, because they received,
Dispatch did this, they only got one call.
they only got one call.
It was confirmed, they came in as a confirmed structure fire.
Came in as one
The house
person.
is on fire.
Come in as one person. Well, a lot of times they come in and says, my neighbor's house is on fire.
No,
But if you can't put it out with that,
Their house is on fire.
well, if you can't put it out with what we had on water, then you know that there's a problem.
Well, does the text say confirmed claims?
Yeah.
You were able to
Then
extend
it should be
it
in
before.
your first box, and that second one should have been put in, because that's auto.
Yes, Palmyra was staffed and ready to go.
But you said Palmyra was stationed, but you had already said they might be stations that are not all firefighters, they might be. They showed up on our scene and there was only one firefighter on staff at a fire. When Yale Road rekindled, only the chief showed up as a firefighter person, and the other 2 people were not firefighters.
So we're just talking about reconsidering with evidence that we've seen where it could have worked better. Just an improvement and how we can make it better. It's not about making one person responsible for anything. It's about learning from issues where we could have done better. It's a learning process where we can make an improvement. And all I'm asking for is that we look at those instances and say, what can we do better in the future to serve our community more quickly and more efficiently? And I'm not dictating how we do it, I'm just asking that it be reconsidered.
Fair enough.
All right, we're on number 7 now.
All right, number 7, please present a plan for a point system to the fire department liaison within 60 days of the point. Because I think we both agree we need a point system.
We have one, and you
Okay.
created it.
I'm sorry?
You helped create it.
I
Me
did.
and discussed them and sat down and created that when we did the point system for the,
Well, we didn't use it in
for
December.
4 years. That had nothing to do with us. That was prior administration. That, we had to cover from June on. So from December to June is what this system covered. And it was always left to whatever the chiefs wanted to do.
Okay.
Well, at the present time, divide the money up was the best we could do at short notice because we only had like 4 days to get it figured out. So we do have a plan in
Why
place.
did we only have 4 days to figure it out?
Because we thought that the 6 months, or this was taking over, the grant was taking over.
You wrote them up and you didn't have the answers to these questions.
I didn't write anybody up, but we're having a discussion.
It's not right.
Okay, so has that been
Okay.
clarified? That's that, then we got.
Maybe we could say it a few more times. It's a write-up, no, it's not a write-up. Okay, we're on
The point
8.
system is in
So,
place now, and that's for the bonuses, is that what that's for?
yes.
Yes.
That way we
So that people who actually show up to calls get bonuses, the ones
Correct.
that haven't been active.
seems important that we reward people for the work that they do. And I think we can all agree with
That
that.
was created up. What threw it off was the 6 months prior to that. We were concerned with the 6 months since the grant took over.
And my concern is to make sure that all of us do a more appropriate system next time. That's all.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay. And
We have 4 years.
then, number 8 was to complete the firefighter 1 training within 1 year. This expense would be paid for by Deerfield Township. And Having people with more training absolutely always makes it better.
Okay, does a person with 240 make it better?
Sure,
Why?
because they have more leadership qualities to train people who don't have that
Has nothing
training.
to do with leadership.
Yeah, because you have to, I can't train somebody to do something that I'm not qualified to do myself.
But I'm a 240 and I can't run the department. Sorry. He has more experience than I do. And I just went through school and I got all the best update knowledge. I could not run this department like he could. I ran under Wyndham, had a chief that was a 36 and he ran the department as well. So it's about experience. You have people back here that run, or others like Todd, who's a 36, that can run a scene like a champ. And if he shows up on scene, I know that he's taking charge, even though I'm a 240 man. So I technically, in honesty, would outrank the chief if he wasn't a chief, because I'm automatically a 240. But it's based on respect, experience, and knowledge of what you can do for your job. It's not based on the number that follows you. I wouldn't disclude Zach, or Zirkle, as an EMT because he's just an EMT. I would take his knowledge, because I've ran with him before, and he's a very knowledgeable EMT. So I'm not going to override him on a scene if he's got it under control, if I don't need to override him.
My
So it's not about the number,
proposition
it's
is
about
increasing knowledge and credentials betters the department.
But it's not leadership. 240 has nothing to do with leadership.
Correct.
Okay, just so you know, just so you're clear. So 120.
Sure, because you can be very good at something and not want to run a department.
But it has nothing, those classes have nothing to do with leadership, it's always about job fire.
I understood. Thank you. So, I mean, if we're in agreement that these things better the department, then I will drop my motion to pass the PIP.
That's a good idea.
I have no problem with any of this
Okay.
that we've discussed.
So, anything else with the fire department?
Nothing.
All right. Old business, any old business to discuss today? All right, new business. I have no new business. Ed, do you have any new business?
I have one thing I'm looking for now. I have an estimate to replace, through NOPEC money, all the incandescent lights on the outside of the fire department, seven of the big wall packs areas. Remove 7 outdoor metal wall pack lights from outside building. Remove 4 outside incandescent lights from man doors and outside of building. Install 7 new high efficiency LED wall packs outside of building. Install 4 new high efficiency LED floodlights above the man doors and outside of the building. $1,200 for this. Those incandescent lights, they do run as soon as it gets dark till daylight. They are expensive to run. They've been on there since the building was built. We do have NOPEC money to do this. This is a local guy that proposed $1,200 to do all that. I'd like to consider doing that very soon. That saves money in the bills and everything for the electric company.
And it's covered by the NOPEC grant?
Yes, covered by the NOPEC grant.
I'll make
Well, do you have any of the estimates?
Yeah, right there. $1,200. That's the same company that replaced all the lights in here and down the garage down there and everything. They did exactly what they said they were going to do and build us exactly what they said they were going to do us.
I'll agree to that. I would like a copy though, please.
Sure, no problem. So I made that motion.
I second it.
Yes. If you're still with us.
Yes. Roll call vote. Laura? Yes. Ed?
Yes.
And Tiffany?
Yes.
I do have some more new business. Currently, when the fire department payroll gets turned in, it's required to be in Wednesday afternoon, 4:30, whatever they get it here. This isn't necessarily a complaint, but sometimes if we don't get it till 7 or 8 o'clock, or the fiscal officers don't, they're here, this has to be paid that Wednesday night. They can't leave here until it's paid and put it into the system. Pay periods will not change. I would like to propose that we have all the fire department timesheets turned in the first and third Monday morning by 9 a.m. That way, it gives them the 2 extra days, the fiscal officers, to make sure they're right and everything, get it put into the computer, and get it turned into the bank for the automatic pay. It doesn't change pay periods, it doesn't change anything, it just changes when they have to be turned in. Another suggestion on that is, instead of having someone at the department collect all these and then turn it in, that we get some type of mailbox at the fire station when they finish their last shift before the pay period, or when pay period's done, initial their signs, their time sheets, turn them in, and that way they're there, and maybe the chief or someone can bring them up to Monday. That just, the fiscal officer are asking us to do this. They're here sometimes till 8 or 9 o'clock making payroll because they don't get it until Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening. So it's just a change of time and when the requirements to be turned in are.
Probably hard chasing everyone down to get their hours.
Very hard.
And won't the time clock change that?
That's what we're, that's what we approved buying a computer for, to get that going. Once that's going, that will eliminate a lot of the problem.
There you go. Sounds like you buy computers.
Yeah.
We
We
already approved
The
it.
pickup, the scheduled pickup is what I see, because I personally know I turned mine in, and it has to be picked up for 5 days after the date that it was supposed to be turned in. So I think having accountability and a date that is brought to it, whether you turn in your hours or not, it needs to be turned into them, so the people that are turning their time sheets can get paid on time. I was paid 6 days past due, missed the car payment of a lot of money. This is my main source.
Yours were turned in, but they never got turned in here, is that what you're saying?
Correct, they were picked up and brought over, so if it comes to, it's this date, they want them by Monday or whatever date, hey, great, someone like me who works Mondays could drive them down under the permission of the fire chief, and if they're turned in, they're turned in. But there's gonna be some that are missing, because people just don't turn their stuff in.
The new laptop will help streamline that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, problem solved, hopefully. Any other new business? From the board? No.
I have nothing.
All right. Well, I will move that we adjourn the meeting.
This gentleman right here, I said, I'd like to know today if the board can help us out as residents. I am for 28 years, right off of Wagner. But right now, they've been conducting business since 2013. I have filmed everything from the semi-trucks that are parked there. There's constant accidents, as you folks know, Wagner Road 14, and at Johnson. If you look at the semis that are all parked there right now, don't you like? There's 2 of them parked there right now. They're running business, parking for free, making it. They've changed loads. They've welded their trucks, changed their oils, changed tires, and it's nonstop. And right now, I'm asking you to, when you leave, take a drive, go down. Now we have even more increased traffic that this township has put upon us about all the people that come and walk on that trail. And that's a whole other issue. You all need to come at night and see what goes on. So these are things that's degrading to the property values, to the security. You know what's happened 2 times on that trail. I physically was with them after the effect.
Deerfield has no zoning, so they can't really stop those guys from running the business.
No, sir. Go talk to Canfield. Portage County Police, the state of patrol, just looked and said, hey, what crime is it doing?
Hey, I got, the state police, I parked there for a lot of years. I live across the street.
46 years, 1946, sir, this started.
Well,
they put that there so that trucks could pull over. Right now, the state of Ohio is trying to work with the Corps of Engineers, and you folks are the key right now. It's on your backs. If you would just get busy with and communicate to them, you'll stop it. Because right now you're living with, somehow they moved the dump trucks off the bridge, pull up off the bridge. And now, you look and see how much traffic you get. People are backing out off of that little wine bar where it's on the right there, the bridge. It's unsafe. Yeah. But I'm asking this today because the bus, all the way today. That's why I'm saying, no, I'm just telling you, it's going to be, I said this today, I recorded it, I put it into my phone. I will know the date that I stood here and said that. And I'll be back if something tragically happens.
Are you talking about the pool off right across from Johnson? There's like that big gravel.
That's one of them. That's, I'm not a meeting, but I.
The one by the bridge?
At White, across.
Yeah, isn't that what was said?
It's on the part of natural resources, property, important.
After the meeting, can you come give us your information and phone number?
Absolutely. I've been fishing for the last 14 years.
I would make sure everybody's not.
All right. So anything else? Anything else today? So I'll vote that we adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.